Welcome back to My Life on a GLP-1, the podcast where we get real and often talk about the weird, actual lived experiences on these amazing medications. I'm your host, Scott Johnson.
And I'm Sarah. It's great to be here, Scott.
Today, we're talking about one of the weirdest, most annoying, and surprisingly common side effects of these medications. It's one that nobody seems to warn you about, but a whole lot of us are experiencing.
Oh, I have a feeling I know which one you're talking about. The one that requires you to buy stock in a tissue company?
Exactly. The never-ending runny nose. Picture this. I was about 3 weeks into my journey. The food noise was gone. My genes were finally cooperating. I was feeling fantastic.
The honeymoon phase.
Right. And I'm on a big Zoom call with my team, and I sneeze directly onto my keyboard. Then I do it again and again. I figured I'd caught a cold from my nephew or something. But a week goes by, no fever, no sore throat, just this quiet, persistent drip.
A gentle betrayal from your own nasal passages.
Totally. So, as one does, I went down a midnight internet rabbit hole and landed in a GLP-1 forum. And Sarah, it was like a homecoming. Hundreds of people had typed some version of, "I am not sick, I am just damp."
The Just Damp Club. I love that. It's so true. You're constantly explaining to people, no, I'm not contagious, I'm just on Zepbound. It's this secret handshake.
It really is. And it turns out it's not just our imagination. A runny nose is a documented side effect. It's right there on the official Wegovy and Zepbound list, but it gets buried under the louder side effects like nausea and fatigue.
Which is a shame, because for the people experiencing it, a constant drip is not nothing. It's inconvenient and confusing. So let's get into the why. What is actually going on?
Okay, the biggest reason is pretty fascinating. It has to do with our autonomic nervous system. These medications do way more than just tell our brains we're full. They interact with something called the vagus nerve.
Okay, but what is that?
The vagus nerve is like a superhighway in your body that governs digestion, heart rate, and yes, the secretory function of your nasal passages. We also talked about the vagus nerve in a prior episode when we discussed the GLP-1 hiccups and how that is triggered.
So the same system that controls how full you feel also has a say in how much your nose runs. When you recalibrate one part of that system, another part can respond in unexpected ways.
That's the perfect way to put it. And there's actually a medical term for what we're experiencing, vasomotor rhinitis.
That sounds very official and a little scary.
It does, but all it means is a non-allergic, non-infectious runny nose. It's not pollen, it's not a virus. It's just your nervous system telling your nose to, well, run.
Gross. But okay, that makes sense. And there are other factors that can play a supporting role, right? Like acid reflux.
Yes, this is a big one. We all know these meds slow down gastric emptying, which can cause or worsen acid reflux. That acid can irritate the lining of your throat, which then causes postnasal drip and a runny nose.
It's all connected. So if you're experiencing heartburn along with the drip, treating the reflux might actually help your nose too.
Exactly. And the other huge factor is one we preach about all the time, dehydration. GLP-1s can suppress thirst signals, so many of us are dehydrated without even knowing it. When that happens, your nasal tissue can overreact and produce excess mucus to protect itself.
Okay, so before our listeners start diagnosing themselves with something terrible, let's talk about what this runny nose usually isn't.
Great point. First, it's rarely a sign of infection. If the discharge is clear and thin and you don't have a fever or body aches, it's probably not a virus. It's also not a sign that the medication is failing to work for weight loss. The two are unrelated.
And most importantly, it's not an allergic reaction to the medication. A true allergy is much more severe, involving hives, swelling, or difficulty breathing. A damp nose is just a damp nose.
But there are definitely times when you should call your doctor. If the discharge turns thick, yellow, or green, or if you develop a fever or significant sinus pressure. Also, if it persists for more than a few weeks without improving.
And of course, if you have any of those true allergy symptoms like swelling or trouble breathing, seek medical attention immediately.
Right. But for everyone else in the Just Damp Club, let's talk practical tips that can actually help.
Number one, and we can't say it enough, stay aggressively hydrated. Drink water even when you don't feel thirsty.
A simple saline nasal rinse or spray is also unglamorous but so effective. It can clear things out without any medication.
Also, if you think reflux might be a factor, try an over the counter acid reducer and see if that helps both issues. And finally, just give it time. For many of us, this is an early adjustment phase, and the symptoms fade as our bodies get used to the new normal.
So, the bottom line, if your nose has developed a mind of its own since starting a GLP-1, you're in very good company. The mechanism is real, the science supports it, and it's almost always not dangerous.
Stay hydrated, keep your tissues close, and know you're not alone. You know, Scott, after all this time, I am always blown away by these unique lived experiences to share. So, to our listeners, let me tell you how much we appreciate you joining in every week. I would ask that before you next reach out for a tissue, you would take the time to share our podcast with a friend or smash that 5-star rating wherever you stream. And in your downtime, I always recommend checking out Scott's website and blog at mylifeonglp1.com for the latest news and tips. Now tell us, Scott, do you have any final advice to share on this damp topic?
Thanks, Sarah. Don't forget, it is not dangerous. It is not a sign of failure. It is one of those quietly weird and specific side effects that live loudly in real life and rarely make it into official pamphlets. Stay hydrated, keep tissues nearby, and know that somewhere right now there are thousands of other GLP-1 users doing the same thing. So, thanks for tuning in, and on behalf of Sarah, I'm Scott Johnson, reminding you to stock up on good quality tissues and don't forget to always love your journey.